Hello everyone, so this is I believe the third installment of weekly explanation videos. This is for the week of June 1st, I believe. Okay, so this is the first position. And once again, we notice that the black king is very weak. White has a queen, bishop, rook, and pawn. 4 pieces is plenty of attackers. So once again, we should start with checks and captures. Let's start on rook a8, but if rook a8 just takes, it doesn't do anything. Queen c8 or queen c7 also don't do anything. Queen d6 is controlled by the queen on d3, so, and taking the pawn e6, well, it doesn't do much. So if none of the checks and captures work, then the next thing to do is some threats to the king, like maiden 1 threats. Well, something that looks very natural is bishop c8. We threatened maiden 1 with queen takes b7, and logically it looks like black should take the bishop. But then here we can see that we have a little deflection tactic, rook a8, deflecting the king from protecting the rook, and now we can put the rook in c8, rook b8. Okay, and now be careful not to play queen a6 because it's going by the queen b3. But then we have queen c6 check, forces rook back to b7. And what now consider the checks. If queen c8 check, and it just goes back, it doesn't do anything. Queen a8 would be also doesn't do anything, but queen a4 does. Queen b8, queen e8 check, and now he has no rook b8. He's forced to block and take the queen's checkmate. So bishop c8 is a very nice idea to win with deflection tactic after rook a8 with force mate. Objectively, the best defense for black is queen b1 check, king h2, queen takes b6, bring the queen back to defend, but white simply takes rook. Black has exchanged queens, and white ends up with an extra bishop, which is easily winning in this position. Black takes bishop instead, and white's queen d6 check. King c8, rook c4 mating, queen c7, rook a8 check, another deflection tactic. King takes, and we just pick up the queen with completely winning position. And queen d1 check, king h2, queen takes a4, that you eliminate the rook. So after you take, rook takes c8. Black is okay, but now we can just take the rook as checkmate. So once again, if none of the checks and captures work, then we should, the next thing we should check is maiden 1 threats. And here bishop c8 does work. This is the position, and okay, again, checks and captures. Currently, we can't give a check to the king, that's out of the question. The only captures we have is taking the pawn and the bishop, but that's obviously insufficient. Black's threatening maiden 1 with queen a1. Black's threatening maiden 1 with queen a1. So how do we stop that? Well, obviously running the king wouldn't be sufficient. So what about rook a3? That looks forcing. We make a threat to the queen and we block the mate. And as we notice, we force him to take the rook. And when he takes the rook at the pawn, then he suddenly blocks his pieces. And this gives us 1 tempo to do something. What can we do here? Again, there are no checks. Captures are not very sufficient. So what do we do next? Maybe make a threat to the queen, should d7. And this is a very strong move, as quickly notice after queen takes, then we suddenly have rook h7. Again, it's another check, and queen h5 maybe. A low tactic after bishop d7 wins. And so black has to stop the mate threat with like rook g5 something, but then we just take the queen, and it's completely winning position. Yeah, so again, this position, there are no check and captures, but we should usually when in such puzzles you should start with forcing moves that they usually have a high success rate. So next position. Next position is the brain teaser. White to move and mate in 3. So I think these kind of puzzles are really interesting because you're like this one's not that difficult, but even so, it gives you a nice chance to play around with the board and observe certain patterns with mating with the rook and king. So well, obviously the usual checks like rook a2 or something, it doesn't mean white can't make quick enough. So what can we do? And well, actually, it's difficult to explain. But let's say, well, the black king is trapped here, and if we notice, if the black king moves forward, then we have rook a, then rook a2 is checkmate. So let's deduce one by one. King a6 is impossible. And then we can notice if b5, then it takes away the b5 square for the king when black plays king a6. So then in that case, white can play king c7. And after king c7, king a6, rook a2 will be made because pawn on b5 is blocking the king's escape square. So that means if it were black to move, he cannot play king a6 or b5. So he would have to play either king a8 or king b8. King a8 loses king c7, rook a2 mate. But king b8 most likely. So if we can make a move that can mate in 3 after king b8, which is black's only move, then we've solved the puzzle. So the king b8, king takes b6, the king escapes c8. So what's the most logical move? It's rook c2, and this is exactly the solution. After rook c2, black is going to be made in 2 more moves. As we said, after king b8, we just take the pawn. King 8, rook c8 to mate. It's a typical pattern where the kings are in opposition, the rook cuts off the escape square. King a8, then as we said, king c7, and next move rook a2 will be made. King a6, again, rook a2 is made. That's very simple. And the main point is also after b5. We play king c7, king a6 for king a8, and rook a2 is made. And you see this pawn is going to king. Yeah, so now it's a little warm up. Okay, so the next position is this one. See? Like this. So in this position, black's down a piece. Well, we see the white king is very weak. Stuck to the back rank as this pawn takes away the g2 square, and if we see imagine if we could push this pawn, it would unleash the bishop on the king, and this pawn would simultaneously take away the g1 square. So if we can move the pawn, if we can remove the rook on f2, then we can checkmate him. Okay, so let's start with, once again, let's start with checks and captures. Of course, taking the knight on f5 is nonsense. Checking on e1, so just take the rook. So what else? We have to somehow remove the rook. Well, it would be logical to start from queen b6. But in this case, it doesn't work because white has simple move king g1, removing himself from the bishop on b5 and protecting the rook on f2. So maybe a more forceful way Well, we see the rook is stopped guarding, well, blockading this f3 pawn, and the queen is stopped protecting the back rank. So where can we move the queen to distract both pieces? Well, the solution becomes clear. Queen b2. Nice move because we're threatening both pieces and we're distracting them. After queen b2, first of all, if rook takes, we just f2. Bishop has block and simply mate. If queen takes, now the first rank is free. When we play rook e1 check. Bishop f1, let's say. Now we take it, deflect the rook again, and f2 is also mate. So, okay, reasonable defense wise, queen f1. The queen white still protects the rook and holds on to the first rank. But now we take, and the queen has too many jobs. It has to blockade this pawn as well as protect e1. So then it can't do both at once. So simply rook e1 check. With bishop f1, we just take the bishop, deflect the queen. With f2, queen g2, f1, queen is mate. Or you could play f1 rook. That would be a common way to fish. Rook e1, if queen takes e1, then f2 check, queen e4, and we just take. Finally, the pawn queens with mate. So once again, once we notice how fragile white's construction is, where the queen and the rook are overloaded, then we can easily find queen b2, which is aesthetically a very pleasing move. So next position. Right to play. Our queen is under attack, but once again, we can notice both kings have back weaknesses. But at the moment, white can't mate because white has two attackers on the e8 rook, but black has two defenders with this queen and this rook. So we can, when we know such things, it becomes very natural maybe to distract this queen. So how can we do that? Well, queen g4 comes to mind. Queen g4, we're distracting the queen. If queen takes, and rook takes, and mate. And black cannot take on e2 first because we just pick up the queen, and the e1 rook is protected by our knight. So what can black do? Well, his queen's under attack, so he has to move it somewhere. Queen b5 is the only move. Still guarding e8. So what next? How to deflect the black queen once again? Well, we could try a4, but then we notice that black has a threat of queen takes e2. And not only is black getting two rooks back, but black is actually mating. Rook takes e2. No, black is actually mating on the back end. White's been exposed here. Rook takes, and mate. So the black start is queen e2, queen takes e2, but we also don't want to give up our idea of deflecting the queen. Well, queen c4. Then we attack the queen and we shield this rook on e2 from the queen. It doesn't matter if black takes on c4 with either piece, then the one defender has been removed and rook takes e8, all will be made soon. Once again, the queen's under attack, so where to go? Queen has to go back to d7. Now we already know it's already good because queen g. If we already have a draw with queen g4 with this force play, but we want to win, right? Because black's position is very fragile right now. After queen d7, how do we continue the same theme of deflecting the piece? Well, queen takes c obviously doesn't work because the rook takes, and the rook will move itself on the danger. So what else? Then we can find easily queen c7. Again, if either piece takes, then rook takes e8 and mate will follow. Once again, the queen is attacked. Where to go for the queen? Black goes back to b5. Now we see a very comical situation. Both the white queen is chasing the black queen around, but it's still not clear how to proceed for white, because black does have, for example, if white takes on b7, taking pawn and deflecting the queen again, but suddenly we remember that black has a queen takes e2 idea, where black will take advantage of white's backward. But the queen on c7 is in a very nice spot, because it blocks the rook on c8 from coming c1. So currently black does not have this threat of queen takes d2. So how to deflect the queen? Well, we can't use the knight because the bishop's there. Let's use the pawn, a4. a4, or attack. The black's queen is attacked again. Well, it's true that white's queen is also attacked, but for example, let's say black plays a waiting move like g6. If g6, then white simply plays queen takes c8, and white's just winning a rook because the rook takes, pawn takes. Oh yeah, yes, this wins, but yeah, of course. Sorry, this is also very simple. I'm taking this rook. No, so anyway, black's queen is under attack, so he has to take, and well, let's continue the same theme of deflecting the queen. Well, maybe you might think b3, but then black queen just goes back to b5, and again he has this queen takes e2 idea if the white queen moves to c7. And maybe queen c4, but this doesn't work. The black simply goes back to d7, and we've accomplished nothing but lose a pawn. So, but what about rook e4 using this rook? It looks paradoxical because the rook is supposed to be aiming at this rook, but at the same time, but it doesn't mean that we can't attack the queen as well. For rook e4, the rook removes itself from e2, so after queen b5, there's no queen takes e2 from black. Rook e4 is a very natural move, attacking the queen. Yes, white's queen's also under attack, but now if g6, now white takes on c8 first. If black takes on e4, then white takes on e8 and wins the rook. If rook takes, then rook takes a4, and white's extra rook. So the threat is queen takes c8. What can black do? If queen takes e4, then it doesn't work because rook takes e4. And if you take my rook, I'll take your rook, mating, and if you take my queen, I take your rook, and also mating. So black has no choice but to move his queen. So black plays queen b5. As mentioned before, but now black has no queen takes e2 idea. And we also took the a4 square under control. So since black has no queen takes e2 idea, the queen on c7 is free. Now queen takes b7 simply. A4 square is covered. We're attacking the b5 square. We cover the b7 square. Obviously, the c6 square is covered. So now black has officially ran out of moves. There's nowhere to go with his queen. And this is like the end of the line. Black just loses here. For example, if we take, I just take with mate. And if not queen takes b7, black's losing his queen because he simply cannot defend all his weaknesses anymore. So this is very typical. Like when we see one piece defending another piece, it's very natural to try to deflect the piece from defending the target on e8. That's the next position is next position. Next position is actually quite similar. Like And once again, we see a very similar structure here. Queen on d7 is protecting the rook on e8, and black has a backbone issue because the pawn takes away the escapes going to 7. And it's pretty funny now. What the same move is the solution. Queen g4. Again, we're deflecting the queen. Queen takes, and rook takes e8 is great. Once again, black queen has to run. Queen takes a4. Still keeping defense in e8. But now it looks like white has run out of ideas. How can we continue to pester the queen? Well, then we discover this nice with b5. We open up the fourth rank to pester the black queen again, and at the same time we're cutting off its defense to the e8 square. So what can black do? Black can only take on b5. So only move. Now, like the last position, we play queen c4. We take control of a4 and b5 squares. Again, attacking the queen. Black has to go to d7 with only square left. And now we go to c8. Queen c8. Queen is once again attacked. Where should we go? Oh, let's say a4. Now we play queen a8. It's really funny. And we again attack the queen. Well, where should the queen go? I mean, it doesn't really matter. b5 and d7 are the same basically. After queen b5, well, I'll just take on b7. Again, we're pressing the queen and we take away the d7 square. So black is forced to go to a4. But the problem here, unlike the last puzzle, is that the black queen has 3 squares, a4, b5, and d7, and the white queen cannot take away those 3 squares, so black will always have one of them. So, but we notice that we can take on f7 at one moment, but when's the right moment to take on f7? But actually, the right moment is when the queen is on b5. I think the reason is, let's say you take on f7 right now. Then black plays rook g8, and you simply have no attack. Black is very vulnerable on the h file, but you simply cannot move the rook to the h file. If you go to e4, the queen's guarding that. You could try to play g4 without bringing the rook over here, but the queen's guarding that. So that's simply not a good idea. It's not very advantageous for white to have black's queen on a4. So we should get his queen off a4, and obviously we can't have the queen on d7 because then we wouldn't be able to capture an f7. So the best square for white is to have the black queen on b5. So we play queen a7. We take away these 2 squares, he's forced to go b5, and now we take on f7. If white continues, it's not so simple. This is one of the most difficult puzzles probably I've given. So rook g8. Black stops mate on g7. And how to continue the attack? Well, a very strong move is g4. As I mentioned, we're trying to bring the rooks to h file. At the same time, the pawn can participate in the attack, in case of when black is h5. Now the immediate threat is queen takes h7, sacrificing the queen, rook h3 mate, because the pawn takes away the g7 square. So black has to do something about queen takes h7. What can he do? The best defense is g5, giving the black king a square in g6. Instead, if you play something like h5, well, here we see the pawn on g4 comes in handy. We just take. Take. You can't take because black's giving a discover check, and you can simply play king h2. Black has no defense to protect this h5 pawn. Notice the white queen including the d5 pawn, queen b1, relatively nice. Queen takes h5. The idea is queen h7. Bring the queen back, but now white just simply plays rook h2. And we're attacking the queen, and after we take, it's just a checkmate. Instead, we play h6, trying to stop queen takes h7. Then we just bring the rook, rook h3. I mean, only moves h5 now. Simplest, just rook h5 and queen h5. So g5 is the best defense. Not only is black giving the white, his king, a square in g6 if white sacrifices an h7, which doesn't work. He's also opening this diagonal, so potentially the queen can come back and help against against white's attack. So for g5, yeah, I think this is probably the most difficult move of the puzzle. The move for white here is rook e4. That's actually a really brilliant move. So how do you explain the idea? So first of all, white's taking the a4 square away from the queen. The pawn takes away the c6 square, and the queen takes away the d7 square. So take all the squares away from all the available squares away from the queen on the a4 e8 diagonal. And the reason why this is so important is because the black queen moves and leaves the diagonal. Then we have rook e8. Rook takes, queen takes, it's just checkmate. And after queen g6, then we just simply take an f7 and we win the game. So after rook e4 is really important because we take away the a4 square, and the black queen is tethered to this diagonal. It has to stay on b5. So what else can black move? If black moves this bishop, let's say bishop a5, problem is now it's not guarding e7 anymore. So white plays rook e7, guarding mate. Black plays queen b1 or queen d3. I mean, they're basically the same. Guard h7, and then white plays rook e8. We force the queen off the b5 square. Now we play rook e8, and again we're winning with the same idea. Queen g6, take, f7 wins. Also, another nice finish is queen takes g8, which also wins takes f7. So now we've established that queen cannot move and the bishop cannot move. Obviously, the rook cannot move because it has to guard the back rank and mate and g7. The king cannot move. These two pawns cannot move. So only this, by process of elimination, only the h pawn can move. So that's why rook e4 is so brilliant, because it places black in Zook's rank, and black is forced to play h6, which is not a move they would like to play. h6. But the problem with h6 has its own problem, because now black king has become airy around here. Black would much rather have the pawn h7, and pawn h6 obviously becomes a weakness. Now, after we see the move h6, now we play queen e6, and the pawn at h6, black is just completely lost because his king is just way too weak here. Well, the immediate threat is f7, and black has guard against that. The best defense is rook f8. There's nothing better. f7 was coming anyway. For example, if we play rook g6, I play f7 anyway. I don't care about my queen, but I'll be making b1 f8. So rook f8 is the best defense. And surprisingly, things are still not so easy because rook f8, black's giving heir to his king. After rook f8, we take on d6. I'll attack the rook. King g8, nothing better. Now another brilliant move from white. Black has at the moment managed to defend himself, but here comes rook e7. It's another star move. White sacrifices his rook, but in exchange, he'll win these two pawns once the sixth rank opens, and also the two connected passive pawns on e7 and d5, and black king will have no defenders. White's queen and pawns will have easy access to the king, as we'll see later. So after rook e7, well, the point black has to take. The point is rook g7 check is threatened with queen f8 mate coming. For example, if black plays king h8, idea is to sidestep rook g7. Then now simply rook d7 wins. Then we have a double attack on the queen and the rook. Queen and the bishop. Sorry. No, the rook and the bishop. Sorry. And white wins. So black has to take the rook. Now we play f takes e7. Rook's attacked. What else? Rook e8, only move. I mean, not only move, but yeah. It doesn't really matter what black does. Now we play queen g6. We pick up the pawns with check. Take the pawn with check. And okay, the material count right now is 4 pawns for the rook. Okay, technically speaking, black's up material, but as you can see, white has a much safer king, and the white pawns are so advanced that they're probably worth a queen or something. I don't know. At least much more than rook. And the key thing is after king f7, white can simply play queen f5 check, because if black takes the pawn, then d6 check. We'll discover here picking up the queen. Queen f5 check. This forces black to go to g7 or g8. It doesn't really matter. Okay, now white plays queen e5 check. Relatively blast king h7 and queen e6. Actually here white is just completely winning. We can see once again the difference in king safety, and we should not forget that the pawns with such limited material actually become very strong attackers. The problem for black is that white's king is so well shielded. Black has absolutely no checks against the white king. There's no, the white queen protects d5, it protects g4, it protects the check on e4, and the pawn on f2 protects the lateral checks, and pawn g4 protects vertical checks from the g file. So there's absolutely nothing black can do to harm the white king. And then while black just be moving around, white simply push the d pawn, push the g pawn. Black is just absolutely busted. I'll give you a sample variation right now. Sample variation where white's just going to use his pawns to attack the king. For example, queen c4. And there's nothing really better. White just plays g5, just moving the pawns. And then white will have queen f7 coming, g6 coming. There's too many threats. Maybe best is king g7. Pick up king g7. Anyway, we play g5, queen a4. Black queen has to be stuck to this rook, because otherwise I can play something like queen f6, queen f7, pick up the rook. So g5, and then we just keep pushing our pawn. Like black is absolutely stuck here. Queen c6 check, finally he's got a check. And we just play queen g3. There's nothing wrong. Queen c3 check. Even queen e3 is good for line. Black still has no useful checks. I mean, obviously, if you take when white's winning, you just promote the pawn. So queen c6, what else? Queen d4 check. King f7. I mean, it's all painful. Like queen f6 check. King g8, g6. I mean, as you can see, like white, the power of the white pawn. Now mate is threatened. Walking by 2, he has no checks. Again, no checks. Queen c4, let's say. Protecting the f7 square. Okay, now d7. it's so sad how black has absolutely no play. Queen d3 check, for example. f3. Black has no moves. If queen takes d7, then he's left his guard, and it's mate. Rook takes c7. I'm just absolutely desperate. Queen takes c7. Well, mate and promotions coming. Queen takes g6. King f4, for example. Black has again no checks, only a check on h6. And now just queen g5 check, counter check, trade the queens, promote the pawn, and white wins. Okay, so this last bunch is actually kind of unnecessary. Like, yeah, but up to here, when you get these 4 pawns against such useless black pieces, they just white can win easily without thinking. Yeah, but the main point is again like the last puzzle, this deflection idea, and yeah, and the rest is kind of bonus. I mean, it's the only way to win, but I think it's more important for you guys to see these dramatic ideas like deflection. Yeah, this second half is kind of very difficult. That's why I wrote it as a challenge to find the full line. But yeah, but if you can make it here, then the game is over. Like why can win by hand without thinking? So I think the next position, yeah, I decided to have a much simpler position here. It's such an insane. Yeah. Once again, we see the black is in the open. It's very weak. White is bishops and queens slicing through the black position. Okay, we should consider checks and captures, but I mean, yeah, checks and captures, and any check or capture of the queen is just nonsense. Black just takes the queen. But what's very interesting is bishop h5. It looks very natural. It's a check. And how does black respawn? Because the problem for black is he has to accept the sacrifice. Because if he goes to g5, for example, then white just picks up a piece on the 8. So black has to take. If we continue the line a little bit further, we see that black king is definitely flag. Now we should just finish off the line because we can feel that basically white should be winning here. Queen g5, queen f7 check. It's a nice little check. King g4, f3, and mate will follow. And queen g6, best move. Then g4 check. Again, the same theme of deflection. The king's protecting the queen, so he cannot capture pawn g4. The queen cannot capture because it's pinned to the king. Black has to play king g5 to protect his queen. But now bishop d2 check. Again, we're trying to pass through this king to remove its guard of the queen. Black has to play e3. This only moves to to keep the protection going. But white has f4, and black simply cannot defend his queen while just pick it up with mate to follow soon. Now be careful here because f4 check is a very bad move because black takes en passant check, and suddenly it's black who's winning here. Yeah, but for this puzzle, we just simply notice a very natural check, continue the line, and then we have the same thing of deflection, which wins easily for white. Next, yeah, and the last puzzle, and it's for today. I think this is a relatively famous puzzle position. This is from a very old game. I don't remember the players' names, but it's a very old game, and in this position, it was white to play and white resigned, and which looks very natural because it doesn't matter what white has here. Black's just starting rook c1 and loading the queen, and mate is coming. It looks very natural. But actually, white had a spectacular defensive resource, and that not only saves the game but wins the game for white. So we should somehow stop rook c1 check. If black gets rook c1 and d1 queen, the game's over. Doesn't matter how many queens we promote on the king side, black will just fade us. So how do we prevent rook c1? Well, the bishop on h6 is completely useless. The pawns are useless. Let's say white, because if white promotes, trying to distract the rook, then black doesn't care. Rook c1, d1 queen, and mate is coming. So what to do? We have to use this rook somehow. Rook e8 deflection, but again, rook c1 check. Black doesn't care. Rook c6, preventing it physically, then black just takes a rook with either piece, and the rook c1 threat has been used. But what about rook d6? This is the brilliant resource white had. After rook d6, we notice that we cut the black rook from defending the g2 pawn. For example, if rook c1 check, then now white just takes a pawn. This is the difference. If c takes d6, then okay, black took a rook, but now he's This rook is blocked from protecting b2. White plays f7, and the pawns I will promote a lot of queens, which is still winning position. So how can black maintain the rook c1 threat? Well, he has to take with the rook. Rook c1 threat again, but now we notice the rook has been deflected from g8, and we again play g8 queen. And we promote with check, so black cannot play rook c1 there first. If I place rook d8, well, we have to be careful here. If white plays something like queen e6, suddenly after king b8, black is winning, because again, you see how powerful this threat is. And the queen promotion will come back to him. So that would be very tragic, but we simply remove the rook. Rook queen takes d8, king takes, and f7, and promoting a new queen, and without the rook on d8, rook c1 is completely harmless, just king takes d2. Black has placed something like rook f5, and we just promote the queen. Then we win the second rook, and we just up a piece with a completely winning position. After j queen, I could try king d7. We could take on h7, queen f7 also wins. For example, queen f7 is a pretty easy way to win too. King c6, queen e8, check king b6, nowhere else for queen to go. Now the king moves queen e3. We pin the rooks to stop the rook's one threat. Okay, if black takes an f6 and something like b4, and we win the pinned rook. Okay, black can try something like king c6 to renew the threat, but now okay, we just remove the rook. This is the easiest. Takes f7, and we're again promoting a new queen, and black loses again. So yeah, white resigned. Actually, it's very strange because white resigned the winning position, but okay, it's not so easy to see this move, but once you do a process of elimination, you see with d6, and again, it's a sort of a deflection where we get to promote the g2. So I think that's it for this week. Hope you guys enjoyed these puzzles. I guess this week it was a lot of it was about deflection. Hopefully you guys noticed that. So bye for now. See you guys later.